Hey guys. So, hi folks. I'm gonna start with some of our gentlemen here to introduce yourselves. Just let us know who you are. Yeah, I'm looking right at you. Hi. And I'm Tema. I'm the executive director of Women in Media. Hey, what? Can you hear me okay? You think so? Okay. Well, thank you for coming. We're going to start at 11:15, just a few minutes from now. Text your friends, let them know that we're going to be starting in just a minute, and then we'll be talking about stunts. We have so much talent on the stage, I can't even. We have people who have worked on every show you love and and watch on the regular. We have people here who have worked on Stranger Things, on Book of Boba Fett, on Black Widow, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and of course, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We've more than one person who's been on that. Spider-Man, Red Notice, Avatar. You've seen them in so many things, and you're going to see them in so many things over the next few years. We're very, very excited to have them with us on this panel. So if you friends were here, be sure that you let them know so that they don't miss out. They will be very angry at you if you were here and you didn't tell them about this. So we'll be on in just 5 more minutes, okay? All right.
That's better. I don't know if you just
We
suggested.
can do this.
That was
So
better.
while,
Whatever you did. That was
while we have you guys here, the early birds.
Early bird.
Yeah.
While we have the early birds here, since you guys showed up on time, any questions in particular you have that you might want to ask before this room starts getting a little more filled up? Any curiosities? Just stunt wise in general?
Here we go.
Go ahead, sir. Okay, I'm gonna kind of start with this one because that's that's a very broad scope of things because we have everything from specialized skills, such as if you're an amazing motorcycle guy. You know, obviously, us as stunt coordinators, we have a huge need. We have a huge need of like, you know, all these different talents in order to fulfill whatever the production's needs are. For instance, if it's a motorcycle gag, if it's a wire gag, if it's, you know, someone tightrope walking, you know, there's someone who specializes in that. So obviously have a skill set that you are bringing to what is it that you're offering, you know? So that would be the base is obviously something unique, something physical, as that's what we do, you know, a lot. But also, it's also stuff that people don't think about, such as if you have absolutely no fear of heights. And, you know, because even with some stunt people, that's still like a thing that you still have to deal with. Or if you have no fear of claustrophobia and you're able to do like these crazy suit things that, you know, like even people like Jim Carrey had to go through special forces training in order to be the Grinch because you have this thing that sits on your face and breathing is just not normal. You know what I mean? So it's so many different skills. Obviously, what you see the most in a lot of TV and film is like fighting skills. So if you have a strong martial arts background, gymnasts always really do well. Dancers, we've had a lot of dancers that have transitioned into stunts. And you wouldn't have thought that a dance background might help you, but it actually does because you're great at choreography. You remember stuff super easy. And dancers know their bodies really well to where even if they don't have a fight background, we can make an adjustment real simple to help them, let's say, roll in their hips on a side kick as opposed to being more in an open position, which is a lot of what dance base is. So many things with that question, but it was a great question. Anyone else want to add to that real quick?
I mean, I do think also just to kind of go along with what Danny's saying, just versatility. So I think being as versatile as you possibly can, because you are often put in situations that you may not even know, like, what I'm supposed to be doing for it. But if you have enough physical background, you can always find a way to kind of make that work. So I think definitely having your specialty is great, but I think expanding, don't let that just be your one thing. Expanding upon that and adding more to it so you can be as versatile as possible. And then I think the biggest thing is understanding that this is a collaborative entity. So understanding how you can actually help the team more than anything else. And I think that's something that we don't get to talk about as much, because we're all working together to create this one story happen. So I think like understanding that you are not a singular person kind of being the superhero in this entity, it's really all of us as a team working together and what you can supply within that team.
So for your question, as far as like the base standards for entering stunts, come with a skill set. Once you're in, obviously you don't want to be a one-note Johnny. You know, you want to keep expanding. Otherwise, when the times get tough, the one-note Johnnies work the least. So.
And you want to have longevity in the business.
Exactly.
Really,
Okay.
especially.
Okay, so people are flooding in. So
Yeah.
we'll do announcements in a little bit, but let's go with a couple more questions.
Yeah. I'd like to add one more thing. Also, knowing how to run your business, because a lot of people are very talented, but talent isn't going to pay your bills alone. So knowing how to take care of yourself, knowing how to have revenue in, keep costs low, and knowing how to not just know where to get the skills, but how you're going to pay to get those skills. So being responsible is very, very important when it comes to being a stunt person, because you are a freelance person, and no one job is going to pay for everything, and it's not going to keep you going. So it's very important to know how to run a business.
So welcome. Hey there. Isn't that his job?
I was just going to say, I worked for Sammo Hung, who was Jackie Chan's elder brother, Peking opera brother, and he told me the biggest thing that I always took home with me was Ruben.
Where's the feedback?
Ruben. Hello? Oh, see, you can't turn.
He broke another one.
See, I didn't break that one that time. Okay. He said, Ruben, make sure and you look at everybody's job and understand what everybody's doing. See the craft service person, see that lighting person over there doing their thing, see what the grips are doing when they're setting up for the camera stuff. Make sure you understand everybody's job, because you can't be a stuntman forever.
Good answer. Good answer. So on that note, Ruben, tell us who you are and like maybe one or two shows that you've been on.
Okay, my name is Ruben Langdon. You guys probably know me here from working on Power Rangers, which led to working on Devil May Cry with Dan and Johnny, and I worked on a little tiny film called Avatar, where I was the main stunt double of
I've heard
Jake
of
Sully.
that. I've heard of
As
it.
well. Oh, okay. So I'm Dan Southworth. Some of you know me because of this event. It's Power Ranger event. Eric Myers, Quantum Ranger, Virgil, Devil May Cry. What's interesting that you should note about all of this stuff is that how tight this community is, and that we bring each other onto the shows that we do. So because of Power Rangers, that's why you have Devil May Cry the way it is. And because of that, I've had my wonderful experiences on Avatar, where I have amazing, fun stories about Roobster here doing some funny stuff, almost ruining my reputation in action with the most powerful man in the industry, James Cameron. But it didn't happen. It's okay. But he came close. He tried. Anyway, that's my introduction.
Man, how do you follow that?
Yeah.
Really
Well, I'm nobody. My name's Michelle Lee. I worked on. I doubled Ahsoka on the new Ahsoka series. Black Widow, Venom. I worked on The Last of Us on the game, not the show. A bunch of other stuff.
Hello, my name is Peter Jang. You guys might know me as the Ryu Ranger. Inducted into the universe by the late, great Jason David Frank. God rest in peace. I also have been a stunt performer and actor for about 14 years now. I've done SEAL Team, SWAT, Suicide Squad, over 60 different shows and TV shows and movies over the years, and hopefully many more to come.
Hi, I'm Alice Ford. I haven't done any Power Rangers shows, but I have worked on Spider-Man, a couple of the Transformers, and Star Wars, as well as Star Trek. And Red Notice as well, and I've worked for all the greats, James Cameron, Michael Bay, and Christopher Nolan. So
Yeah, you were on Tenet and Avatar. Am I right?
yes.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, no worries. Tell us about you.
Tell us about me. Hi, my name is Kelly Barksdale. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm going to stand up. I'm 4'8", and when I started this business in like 2006, I doubled like 12-year-olds, and now in 2024, they're more like 8-year-olds. So something's happened in the water. But I've worked on things. I've worked on Wonder Woman, Stranger Things, Boba Fett. I was young Sheldon's double for the first few seasons. But yeah, it's been fun. Thanks.
Okay, so wait, real quick, just while we're on the whole Boba Fett thing, this tell them what you did with as far as like you were the kid.
I was a Tuscan kid who fought the dragon and cut his head off. Thrilling.
Yeah. She does that on a Monday morning.
I know. I like the suits that you can't breathe in.
Yeah,
I like that. All that stuff. I love it. Yes.
Hi, I'm Marissa LeBog, and I guess I'm best known for X-23. I was the X-23 double in Logan. And then also did Birds of Prey as Cassandra Cain's double. And yeah, I've been doing this for quite a long time with all these beautiful humans here. And I'm also have a production company now and creating films and shows that, you know, we all...
And a new baby.
And a new baby. Who's the most incredible human being I've ever met in my entire life.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
Thank you. So yeah, that's fine. Oh, I was also, yes, I was one of the dancers in La La Land.
Amazing.
You were jumping on the dang car.
Yes.
All right.
Hey guys, I'm
It's gonna
Eric
be long.
Betts. I'm best known for playing the Red and Green Ranger for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Panther on WMAC Masters. Thanks. Did Avatar. I got to do some really cool stuff as a soldier there, and then doubling Sute, played Laz Alonso, and then Jake Sully. I actually got to do some of his stuff when he was trying to learn how to travel from leaf to leaf following Natiri. I'm getting ready right now to do The Batman Returns, doubling Jeffrey Wright, who plays Commissioner Gordon. And yeah, there you go.
You doubled Jeffrey also on Westworld.
Right, I doubled Jeffrey on Westworld for the 5 seasons on there.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
My name is Jackie Chang. No, my name is Ian Wen. I work on WMC Masters.
Yeah.
I played Tsunami. And then I worked on Power Ranger. I don't know if you know what that is. I did stunts for the TV show. We did like over 90 episodes. I did over 90 episodes. And then I did the first movie where I played the White Ranger over there.
Anytime you see the White Ranger fully suited up, it's this guy.
Yeah. And I'll end it with that clap. Thank you.
And just so you know, is this on?
No, this
Is this thing on?
Yeah, that's fine.
And just so you know, we all came up together. We went together and started our careers around the same time together. And it's amazing. It's amazing when you start out with a group like this, progress through a career together, stay in touch, and see how everyone's doing well. It's a lovely thing to be able to. I didn't get a chance to work with you personally, but
Yet.
I know them all through the LA College program.
You're a young guy. You'll have time.
There is a camaraderie there and a bond, and we pulled each other into.
Yes.
I've worked for Danny Wayne.
I've worked for Dan Southwood.
Yeah, we work for each other all the time. Ruben, I don't know if you worked for me, but I work for you a lot. Yeah. So it goes like that, and it's pretty. Just want to say that.
It's okay. I love that because you hear about the industry being very competitive, but clearly, I mean, it's like a joyful competitiveness. but also there's a lot of family. Everybody's hiring each other. Everybody's really collaborative, even more than competitive. I love that.
And the bond between stunt people is unique in that we literally put our lives in each other's hands. Okay, so even when we work with our actors, our bond with them is extremely strong because of also exactly that thing. We are the one thing on set that has to guarantee someone's actual physical safety in execution of anything that we do. My name is Danny Wayne. I spent over 10 years on MMPR, playing not only doing all the stunt double stuff, but I played Finster in the suit. I played Elgar for both the Turbo movie and the series. I played Rito. I wish David Wald was here, who played Goldar, and we would do all the epic big fights with the Rangers and stuff that you remember seeing. And stunt doubling for a lot of the Rangers throughout the seasons. And then I ended in 2001 on the Wild Force series as Jindrax with Toxica, and we had a blast because they were like the dynamic duo of villains, just having fun. And you know what made it unique was that they also had like a bit of a heart to them, and you saw that towards the end of the series. But then I left Rangers in 2001, started stunt coordinating and action directing because that's where I really saw my career evolving into. And then now I'm also directing for Disney on some of their shows. And but these guys, no matter where we go, and like I haven't seen Dan in years, it does not matter. Anytime we come across each other, it's like seeing a brother or a sister. They are like forever family because of our experiences together on set. It will always be that way to like our last breath, which is the most amazing thing you could ever have with anybody in a relationship, you know? So.
Yeah, awesome.
I'd like to wrap the Six Ranger panel, but I wanted to combine some of this these people are important to me, a part of my life. So this is very much a part of who I am and you know how successful I am as an action actor. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
We love you, brother.
So
Welcome, Rangers, exit the building.
The Rangers exit the building. So I'm Tema Steig. Welcome, everybody. I'm the executive director of Women in Media. I'm also LA County Women of the Year. So I'm not that athletic, but I certainly can talk a little bit. So welcome. Clearly, you stunt folks, I have unbelievable respect for what you do. You're actors, you're athletes, you're gymnasts, you're dancers, you're all of that. And there's so much process with what you do. It's not like you just show up on set on the day and just start shooting and start like getting, you know, lit on fire or falling off of something. You have to prepare. Can you take us through the process of building a stunt? I'll start with you, Michelle.
And you know what? With these questions, bring up something unique of yours that you had done, where it's a whole process of a setup. You know what I mean?
Okay. I do martial arts a lot more than any other stunt. So for us, the process is getting hired, getting into wardrobe and makeup, because that can influence a lot of a fight. So once you know what your wardrobe is, I can't move, I can't raise my arm, I can't do this. If you have prosthetics, you know, if you have wigs on, what your props are. Yeah.
Like on Ahsoka.
Yeah, so on Ahsoka, our lightsabers, how they felt, how heavy they were, all that stuff we take into consideration. And as we, as the fight is built and taught to us, we train it, we rehearse it, we're going over and over. And then we go over with our stunt partners, and then we go over with the actors. Now, once we bring the celebrities in, it becomes very much like, okay, we can't go as hard as we do on the other stunt. Like, I can beat him up, like, no problem. Yeah. I am not even worried. Now, Hayden Christensen, I'm not going to go as hard until we get into a rhythm. And so for us, the process is kind of that rehearsal, going through it with the stunt people, going through it with I call them celebrities, they're actors, whatever. And then actually shooting it on the day and not showing up, just all that pre-production rehearsal stuff. But for every stunt, it's different. You know?
I'd love to add a little. I work on a lot of movies on what we call as stunt people the core team, which means we're not just brought in for one specific stunt or one specific week. We're there sometimes 2 or 3 months before the movie starts shooting, and we're there to basically R&D all of the different stunts that we're doing, whether there's big wire work scenes or big fight scenes. We spend weeks in advance kind of doing research and design on these different kinds of unique or difficult stunts. Like on Spider-Man, we had to fly Tom Holland outside across multiple buildings, jumping on a car's roof, then back onto a building, then back onto the ground, and then flipping back onto a minivan while it's moving. All of that takes weeks of preparation, which we start indoors in a warehouse. We string all kinds of wires up, and we figure out, not with the actors, but with test subjects, which I often am, what's going to work and what's not. So it's a lot of trial and error until you kind of finesse it to perfection. And that's when, you know, maybe a week before that scene starts, you bring the actor in and you try it with the actor in gentle stages until you're like, okay, this is perfect, and this is what we're going to do on the day. So a lot of research and design goes into all these different stunts that we do.
So you'll kind of slow motion it with the actors and before you get up to full speed, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So especially with wire work, which we do a lot of, obviously, in kind of cinematic universe type shows, there's pressure in systems. So you're either doing wire work with a guy on a wire is on the other end, and he's maybe jumping off a ladder, or we have what's called ratchets. And these are actually hydraulic air systems that can fling one end up in the air while the other end is capitulated with the air. So you start off at really low pressure. So like you're like, okay, cool, you're gonna go like 1 foot, and then we work it up. So the next time you maybe go 30 feet. And it's a whole system, but not just 1 to 2 there, but lots of different variations in there, so people can get used to feeling what it feels like to fall or fly.
I'm going to add to the context, some of the context of what she's talking about. Wire work is such a big part of our industry now, and you see it in all the superhero films. It's a very specialized field in stunt work. Most of us, almost all of us, have been on the wire to ride the wire. Alice happens to also be one of the people who have a strong foundation in rigging, which is another aspect of our industry that is so prevalent in everything we do now, even right down to the superhero kids shows on Disney that I do a lot of times. We do a lot of wire work in that stuff now, just because it's almost expected. You know, they write, you know, all these things because it's very popular, the whole superhero trend. And so now it's like, you know, it's almost expected that you do learn more and more, not only about being on the wire, but as a coordinator, when you show up, and I know that you have at least basic rigging skills to where you can spot check certain things if I ask you, or if I ask you to get a piece of gear out of the kit, that you know what I'm talking about. It's such a huge part of our industry now, but there haven't been a ton of women who have really excelled in tackling that aspect of our industry, and Alice is definitely one of them.
Yeah, for sure. So, go ahead, did you want to say something?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add like a little tidbit, also as a stunt double. After all of that work has been done, there's also a connection with your actor that you obviously need to have, and the creation of that character with that actor. So understanding how that actor moves, and also understanding how that actor wants the character to be portrayed. And then it's kind of us as stunt doubles, it's our jobs to really try to match what they want and create that character, so that we're not a separate entity, but really we're kind of fused as one character.
That's one of the cool things that you won't ever really have the privilege of, or most people won't have the chance to see, is if you're ever on set and you see the lead, you know, doing their thing, you will always see their double just a short distance away, literally memorizing everything that they do, how they walk, how they pick up a bottle of water, so that when we step into double for them, it's more of a seamless transition to hopefully, for you guys not to pick up that, oh, all of a sudden it's, the double or whatever. So, but it's a huge part of our work that we don't really talk about much. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, so aside from all the physical stuff, you're also kind of like a mini script supervisor, like really paying
Big
attention
time.
to how
But
people
a
are.
physical script
Yes,
supervisor.
exactly. Inhaling,
Yes.
everything so you can be in continuity with the actors. Yes. I see we have.
We'll do
Here,
questions.
we'll do a question at
in a
the
little
end.
bit,
Hold
okay?
on to your questions.
Yeah.
We're
I
gonna
was going
have
to add something
funny.
real quick. Also, something that's happening a lot more often nowadays is action acting. Somebody that is both the actor and their own stunt person. There is no double, and that itself is its own process, because then you have to build the character from not just knowing the lines, but also the emotions and what they're going through and what the actual objectives of the scene are, and how it's moving the story along, but also what your character is going through. And then at that point, taking off the actor's hat and then putting on the safety cap and be like, okay, well, now I don't want to kill this guy anymore. Now I want to make sure he doesn't hit his head. I want to make sure that they're not going to hit the sides of the building or anything like that. Or if you're, like I just did on CSI Vegas, going over the railing into some boxes, I need to help them build the boxes and make sure that I'm stepping in the right place, going in the right place, not landing on my head. And then going back, putting my actor hat back on, doing all the lines, and then in the scene going over the edge. So the whole process from beginning to end is, in some ways, when you get into those kind of jobs, sometimes it can be almost double the work, just because you're not only worrying about the actual story, but you're also worrying about the safety as well.
Yeah, and safety first, absolutely. I have a
Exactly.
question about that. So let's say that you're about to go into a stunt and you're going to get a little bit hurt, like you just sort of know. How do you prepare yourself, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally to deal with that? Or do you?
Let's let Eric.
I have a feeling you've been through this once or twice
It's
before.
wrong.
Would you stand up and tell us about it?
Tell him why you have no hair. I'm kidding. It didn't burn off, I promise.
I've had quite a few injuries. So how do you prepare? It's none of us are daredevils. It's sad for me that in 33 years of this career, the Academy Awards has not acknowledged stunts at all for the science that's involved, for the calculation involved.
Engineering.
There's
The
so
physics,
much
the
involved
physics
in
as well,
composing.
right?
Absolutely. And so when you have coordinators like Danny and the other coordinators who've come long before him and all of us, they have not just been putting people's lives in danger. They are sitting down and doing the math, and there is a great deal of science and math involved. To answer the question. Yeah. So, for example, I doubled Tyrese in Fast 8. And there's a very famous family in our community, the Eppers. Jeannie Epper, who has passed this year, used to play Linda Carter's stunt double for Wonder Woman. So she was really like a huge, huge legend in the business, and her family continues on. Her brother Richard is a rigger. On Fast 8, we shot in Iceland, super cold. So your body's really tight, it's hard to stay loose. And the scene I was in involved me being in 28-degree water, which, there's no way to stay loose now. And so Rich explained to me that they wanted me to, Tyrese's character is in an orange Lamborghini, there's a submarine shooting a missile, which, that happens, right? And so The Rock grabs it with his left hand and pushes it towards the bad guys. And at some point, there's a hole that's put in the ice, and the Lamborghini goes in the water. Ludacris harpoons the car door, and he's telling Tyrese, "I'm gonna pull you." Hey!
This is Michi. Hi. Hi. Hey guys, how are you today? Hi, I'm Michi Yamato from Japan. I used to be a masked rider, stunt coordinator, beetle box, and then center in Japan. Nice to meet you guys. I'm sorry, I didn't know over here. Hey guys.
Tegan. All right, so the short version
So what
is.
did you do to like mentally prepare?
The short version is you end up having to sit down and try to imagine what the situation is. So my gag was I was going to be on 2 ratchets. The first ratchet is 8.5 feet up in the air. The second ratchet is 15 feet across down to the ice. Coming out of cold water, I really wasn't sure how I'm going to pull this off. The short version is I ended up having, you do your knee pads, you do your elbow pads, you're trying to figure out what's the best way to make this happen, how you're going to touch down as you're coming down from 15 feet in the air, turning to your side, you're calculating how it's all going to work, and beat by beat, you are going through the motions as it's happening, hoping and praying everything goes the way it goes. In my situation, it did not. It didn't primarily because the conditions of the water. The water was just too cold. So as I got pulled out, I fully tore my rotator cuff. As they continued to pull, I tore my bicep. My right bicep was torn off the bone. My plan was to touch down with my left foot, turn sideways, and slide on the door. It was a good plan. It was a good plan.
That went out the door.
As soon as I touched down, my left ankle severely sprained. But before it was severely sprained, the Lamborghini door guillotined my right kneecap and dislocated that. So that was 4 injuries in one daggone move. And
That's why I had him tell this story.
so that has been so rare in my career though. It's been easier to kind of do probabilities versus possibility and minimize to maximize the performance. And so that's what we do.
I'm going to add to this in that, so it's literally our job as coordinators to try to mitigate any risk, as much risk as possible. Not any risk. There's always risk in what we do, and that's why it's called stunts and not a walk in the park. So Eric's situation, all of our situations, you can learn, you can set it up, you train, you do everything possible in order to try to be at your peak when you're performing whatever stunt, so that you try to take away as much of the risk as possible. But a big part of what Eric just shared is you can only take away so much risk. There is a constant flow of stuff that's happening that is so above and beyond all of our control. And a lot of that happens in the moment that you are actually either executing or about to execute. I have a funny story that is MMPR based that the fans will probably enjoy. During the Lightspeed Rescue season, when Mike Chat was our Blue Ranger, and I don't know if you remember, but his storyline, there was one episode where he was on a surfboard and he was out at the pier. We were shooting this out at Paradise Cove Pier, and the end of the pier is about 35, almost 40 feet above the water, okay? So the sequence is me, Terrence Rotolo, who is also another old OG stunt person, and one other person. We were playing guys who were just mocking this one kid on the pier. I'm getting all my Asian guys mixed up, sorry. Mike Chat was sitting on the surfboard down below, and he's seeing all this happen. So we're sitting up on top of the pier. The stunt is he roundhouse kicks the pier leg, and it knocks us off the pier. We do a 35-foot fall to water, okay? We're shooting this during the winter. The water is freezing cold to begin with, but because it's meant to look like it's summertime or whatever, we're in just shorts and a tank top. So we're sitting up there. We're getting prepped to do it. We know that it's going to be cold. You know how to do your high fall. That part you're cool with. Hitting the water, that's going to hurt like a mofo, but you're going to be fine, right? So you get it all set up. And then right before we go, I look over my shoulder, and because it's wintertime, the water's clear. And I see a couple of 6-foot sharks just cruising under the pier through the legs and stuff. So you're like, okay, there's an unknown factor I wasn't counting on, okay? So born in the tropics, raised in Texas, so unless it's bath water, I don't want to deal with it anyway. So the water's already freezing cold. Now you add sharks to it, okay, right? But you think, okay, they're more scared than us. honestly, when we hit the water, stuff is. Are you getting there?
Hold on a minute. I actually would like to hear what she's saying. We'll get to you.
Not many people want to hear what I have to say.
Are you adding to that situation?
Yes, because he is great guy. When I was a stunt coordinator of the Beetlebox, he did the blue, green Beetlebox, yeah, and then the visibility is very, very tiny. But he did a lot of Japanese style action, which means Japanese style action is very strict and also the hard, right? Yeah, and also the face, you have to cover your whole face. You cannot breathe and you cannot see. Yeah. So, but he did a great work, and also in addition, they need to acting because they have to action as well as the deliver the line. But he did the action and also the deliver the line means the acting. He was great, so that's why I came here. Okay, I have to go back.
Michi's going to be my publicist from now on.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Kelly,
Michi.
Kelly
Thanks for
Barksdale,
coming through.
I'd like to hear what you'd like to add.
So we were about to shoot, and we got kicked. We went into the water. Okay. The last unknown that I got thrown in that situation was Ruben, who was one of the guys who also went into the water. Not Ruben. No, it was Roberto. Roberto went into the water with us, but Roberto. So when obviously this gag requires you to be in the water, so we all have to be able to swim. What Roberto didn't share with us was that he knows how to swim from point A to point B, but he does not know how to tread water. Okay, so we all hit the water, freezing cold. We're getting our bearings from having smacked, from 35 feet, and I get up. And now there's Jonathan Zakor, who is our producer. Every once in a while, he also directed. This happened to be one of the episodes he directs. Jonathan loves to take his time. So every single word has to be exactly right, expressions, he's very specific about what he wants. So we're in the water, cold winter water, in shorts and a tank top, freezing our butts off, and I look to my left, and I see Ruben every time getting lower. Not Ruben, Roberto, sorry. I keep wanting to put you in this situation. Roberto keeps sinking lower and lower and lower, and his eyes are getting wider and wider and wider. And finally, and the nearest guy who's water safety is 300 yards away on a surfboard, because it's a wide shot from the top of the pier looking down, at us or whatever. So I asked Roberto real quick in between takes. I said, "You okay?" And he goes, "I can't do this." And I said, "What do you mean you can't do this? You can't swim?" He goes, "No, I can't do this float thing, whatever this thing is. I can't do this." And I said, "You can't tread water?" He's like, "No, they never said anything about that. I thought we were going to go to the water and then swim back to the shore." So I kind of saddle up next to him. So now I'm helping to hold Ruben up. So I'm treading water for the both of us over literally an hour and a half of this scene being shot. It was one of the most difficult days of my life, stunt-wise, because now we're both taking in mouthfuls of water because you get tired or whatever. But it's all that unexpected stuff, what all happened to Eric. You just have to freaking figure it out on the day, and it's not just about your own safety, but also keeping the safety of other people that are working with you. So that's why we're all so freaking bonded, is because of all that kind of stuff that happens all the time.
Hi. When I see that question, not that I like to get injured, but I have found the most incredible healing in LA, whether Korean spas, chiropractor, acupuncture, to the point where it almost gets me excited. You're doing something, you're going to get hurt. I'm like, well, I know what I'm doing next week, and so there's that.
You have issues.
I do have issues. And, just to speak a little bit earlier about the preparation, I don't know if there's anyone out there that has anxiety or mental issues or all those things, but I can get so debilitatingly nervous when things come up. So, for me, I've done this 15 years. I have to take an hour before that day, that morning, whether I'm praying, I'm too ADD to meditate, but chanting, all this stuff, and just asking the higher power, reaching out, and figuring out the scene. When you get to work, they'll give you sides, so you'll see, and that's you'll see the actual scene, what's going to happen, and I need to know everything going on. I need to know what other actors are saying, what my actor's saying, so as much of the information, because because when you're on set, you want to look tough, you want to look cool, you don't want to look nervous. So I mean, you need a good preparation to like even mentally get into that headspace. And just like the last thing, like I'm really hyperactive, so if you're doubling somebody that's really calm and cool, that's kind of part of my process too. Because I love doubling like hyper people because it's easy, but most of the time they're very chill. So that's really.
These two, by the way, are two of the most prolific stunt doubles for kids, and they are like, I have a go-to batch that for a lot of the stuff I do, because I do a lot of stuff for Disney television and stuff as well. But they're like on the short list of like, okay. You go through, pun intended. Thank you for catching that. We launched her off of like a make-believe cannon and stuff like, but they're always game, which is that's such like a big thing for me that they trust me impeccably, because when they show up and I'm like, I'm gonna launch you off of a cannon, they're like, okay, you know. So, but yes, they are amazing at doubling kids and stuff.
Marissa, can you speak to that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like exactly what Kelly was saying is that the more you know, obviously, the better off you're going to be. And so for me, it's definitely preparation. So understanding all the different components that it takes to do that stunt and really focusing on that. My biggest thing is I need 3, 2, 1 action, and I'll actually ask for it, because if they just said action, I probably wouldn't go. So I need that like countdown of like 3, 2, 1. You're like, well, I have to. There's a countdown, so I got I got to do it. All right, you know. So I know for me like that. Obviously preparation, but I definitely will ask for a 3, 2, 1 action.
She used to ask for a 5, 6, 7, 8, but that's at least changed.
But is there something that you do to mentally and emotionally prepare yourself?
I mean, I think like going into it, you have an understanding obviously of what you need to do. And I think the reason why, at least for me, that I do this is because I love storytelling. I love being part of that aspect of it. So understanding that this is important for this story to actually happen, to understand my role in it helps me get prepared to do the hard stuff. Because you know that like, you're like, even if this goes completely right and everything is perfect, it's gonna hurt. Okay. Yeah, and you know that, and you're like, I probably won't be able to do anything for 2 days afterwards, you know, like, at least, you know. So it is, for me at least, understanding, because I love this. So it's like, I know what my job is, and I know that this is what serves the story, and as much as I can prepare and understand my role in it, the better I am at actually going like, all right, this is what I signed up for, this is what it takes, this is what I'm gonna do, and I need a 3, 2, 1, and then we're going, you know. Yeah.
And I know everyone thinks that we're adrenaline junkies, but honestly, that's almost like a prerequisite to what we do, because that's what gives you that extra oomph to make that stunt look great, or to get you over that hurdle of like, okay, I know this is gonna freaking wreck, but you know, I'm giving it 1,000%.
I just want to say one thing real quick, just to acknowledge the women in stunts, because in my career, the roles and characters I've played a lot of times, I'm able to wear a full outfit. You know, I've got knee pads, elbow pads, back brace, cup, mouth gear. I mean, I've got all sorts of stuff. Yet they're being asked to do the same job, but in a negligee, like whatever. Or
running in high heels.
High heels.
You know, it's my favorite one is, you know, you're gonna run and do a near miss, but you're wearing a night dress with high heels, and I mean, how do you do that? And so, my hat's off to every one of the women that are up on the stage, because they work twice as hard as we do, guys.
I did do a stair fall in just panties and a bra and a little slip cover, and I was like, oh, a stair fall, huh? Okay.
So when they say women have a higher pain tolerance, they're not kidding.
A 1,000 ways to die.
Oh my goodness. But tell us a bit about how you prepare. You're such a legend, Michelle. Tell us. No, really. Tell us, how do you prepare if you know like that? Like you're gonna fall down some stairs and that's not gonna feel good. How do you prepare emotionally, physically, mentally to do that?
Well, I mean, I think what he did was like, oh my God. You know, it's kind of like one of those things like, oh, this is gonna hurt. I can't wear a big giant knee pad with a bra and panties. You know, like I'm just gonna I'm just gonna pray that I know where I'm gonna go, and that's the end of it. And maybe they'll pay me some more money. It'll make up for it, and then
Okay, honestly, these people are not giving themselves enough credit, because the only way you come out of a stair fall without a broken neck and being able to get up and maybe do it 3 more times is because you freaking know the physics, you've had the training, you know how to tuck and protect certain parts of your body when you're doing stuff. You know, something like a stair fall, we as coordinators, we've gotten clever in different ways of trying to mitigate the pain and to take away some of the injury by, you know, really low profile padding and stuff like that can be art decked so that it looks like the stairs, but maybe it's not just solid marble. That said, we can only do so much, and it's their skill set that actually protects them and allows them to get up at the end of that take and do it again.
On a bigger budget TV show or movie, they'll have a nice neoprene thin, and then they'll spray it to look like concrete. That'll be nice. On a cheap
art department.
On a cheap show like 1,000 Ways to Die, they're like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. We don't have that. So those are stairs. But yeah, like you said, there's ways to hide it. But you know, I think like she said, there's gonna be healing at the end. I know what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna have some bruises. Bruises are fine. No broken bones, you know, and then you move on. Yeah, and you learn how to do the stair fall.
Yeah, properly. Like you have to learn those physics of how you're going to do it without, you know, dying. Breaking your neck would be very bad. Now, I know that you've had a really bad injury. Do you mind telling us about that?
Well, I guess let me add, I guess, to what everyone has been saying too about preparation. I think one of the big things too, which we've kind of all alluded to, but maybe not said, is visualizing the stunt days in advance, weeks in advance. Whenever we find out about it, like tomorrow I'm doing a high fall on a movie, and I've been thinking about it in my head for the last week. I have been thinking about, because I don't know what the set is going to look like or where we're going to be doing the high fall. So I've put into my mind every different scenario of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do if I go forwards. This is what I'm going to do if I go backwards. This is what my body is going to do. So we have to mentally prepare ourselves to the best of our abilities. I was a gymnast in college, and I did that in gymnastics, and I'm sure all of the rest of us that are martial artists and other things did the same. So you always do that in preparing for the stunt before that you do it. And then, you know, sometimes things happen, like with Eric's stunt, you can't always visualize for everything. A couple years ago, I was badly hurt in Mexico on a movie, being thrown off a truck down an embankment. It's kind of a long story, so I won't tell the whole thing. But anyways, my AC joint completely snapped, so my shoulder basically fell off my collarbone. It was a scenario where we did a bunch of takes with mats, and the director didn't want to see the mats, so we did another take with no mats. And I hit the ground not in the way that I wanted to, because in the air, I just couldn't quite get into the body position that I was preparing to get into. In stunts, also, little tiny minute details, which you wouldn't think would matter a lot. And so, like, in every other take, my foot had been in this one specific spot, and on that next take, it was 6 inches to the left. And that made it so all of a sudden, in the air, I was like, I'm stuck. And then I hit the ground. So that kind of stuff happens, and you can't always prepare for that, but you have to just, I think, you know, all of us are super competitive, because that's the things that we came up with in our lives. And you channel that like competitive notion of like, all right, this is it, fight or die. You know, you come up with your mantra of like, all right, this is it, we're doing it. And then you go for it, and you go big, and you hope that it looks amazing, and that the director loves it, and that you don't have to do it again.
So do you have like a little internal, do you have like an internal battle cry? Is that it? Like, this is it.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like you just start like screaming deep on the inside. On the outside, you're like, I'm ready. And on the inside, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, you play Eye of the Tiger in your head or whatever, whatever your song is for you. Yeah, and hype yourself up. You got to be your own hype man.
Kelly
Absolutely.
does this like really high pitch, like squirrel shrill or like squeak thing right before she goes. That's always really cute. Yeah.
Can you do it for us? I'm so disappointed. I wanted to hear your like Taylor Swift squeal. So I know that we have questions from our audience. I know you had a question, and we have some people in the back. We don't have a ton of time. We're going to get to what we can. So did you want to ask your question, or did we answer it for you? Which one?
Pie guy me?
Pie guy? Oh, Eric?
Yeah. No, it's all good.
It's all right.
Well, since this is a stunt panel, let's keep the questions more towards stunt stuff. We'll have other things for character-related
we have
questions.
some-
Or go straight to his booth and ask him, and he'll gladly share that kind of stuff. But for now, let's keep it to stunts, okay?
Yeah. So there's somebody back there.
Let's do the lady in white real quick, yes.
Yeah. Lady in white. I think that's a question for you because you get to wear horns.
I mean, on Ahsoka, the costume was a big deal, especially keeping with the Star Wars world, and the fabrics and the costume designers were so amazing. Stretchy things, stretchy things in gussets where, joints, and I think also the design of how things flow in order to accentuate stunts and, things, the majestic, magic of the character. I mean, I don't know too much about, wardrobe and stuff. And like you said, cosplay's a huge world on its own, but definitely stuff like that. I mean, would you say?
Yeah, for sure, a spandex in the crotch.
Yeah.
And so you can kick without, blowing your, you know what I'm talking about, which happens every time. So if you can design that in, and now they have the nice, cool, material that you can actually integrate that looks part of the costume. So it's not
And fan suits and
yeah. And we used to have actually for B Fighter. This was back in Japan. They had this was back in the day, old days. They had a sort of a more of the metal looking suits where it was made of the harder material for pictures and close-ups. And then they had the stunt version, which was made of more spongy material. So, now you can, the newer material can kind of get away with doing a hybrid of the two. But yeah, that was back in the day. That's how they did it.
But as far as like just the quick basics of what we need, visibility is probably number one. Breathing is always a good thing. And then mobility as far as the suits themselves, because obviously we want to, yeah, right? All the things that we didn't have that much of being in the helmet. And here's the thing, anyone on this panel, okay, they almost have to go into superhuman mode because no matter what it is that you do, once you get strapped inside a helmet and for like cosplay, you have like air gaps where you can breathe and stuff. On most of these shows, they want to make it look so streamlined that at one point our helmets went from just these things that you just snapped on where you could take it off in between takes to all of a sudden cotter pins because they didn't want to see the snaps anymore. But now you just spent 8 minutes fighting in 103-degree heat in the sun and you are on the brink of passing out and they will yell cut, but your wardrobe girls are like 200 yards away and they slowly start walking towards you. You'll see these guys do a fast walk towards them because they're like, you got to pull these cotter pins out or literally I'm going to black out. You know what I mean? But you have to go into like superhero mode, literally in your own mind in order to continue with what you need to do and to do it safely so that you don't hurt yourself or other people. And it's understated.
Without a doubt. So we're at time's up, folks. I'm afraid, but folks will be around. Please ask them your questions. Can we get a big round of applause? So much talent on the stage. Can we get a big round of applause? Yes, thank you.
And stop by all the booths with additional questions that you have. We're more than happy to answer them. Okay.
So much talent on one stage. Thank you.